This unit is Use Picklists and Formulas. It is part of the Advanced Formula module, which is on the Admin Advanced Trail. My name is Jeff Alhadeff. You're welcome to join me as I work my way through this unit. If I come across anything that seems tricky or difficult to understand, I'll link to it in the description below. Otherwise, you're welcome to listen in as I make my way through this. Okay. After completing this unit, you'll be able to describe use cases for formulas that reference Picklist fields, use Picklist functions and formula fields, and create a formula referencing a Picklist field. Introduction to using Picklists and formulas. A Picklist field lets you choose a value from a pre-populated list. While you can't write a formula that returns a Picklist as a result, you likely have to reference Picklists in your formula fields. So, say you need a validation rule that requires a user to fill out an explanation if they select Other as an account's type. Okay, a validation rule. It's been a while since I've done this. As you notice, there's a new background. That's not a new room in the it's a new, we moved. So there's been, okay, so validation rules, let me think back. That's when we check to see if the information that was entered in the cell is correct. So this validation rule requires that a user fill out the text field Other if they select the account's type as Other. That's a validation rule. Okay, so is pick value type Other and is blank if a user leaves the Other type custom blank when type is set to Other, the validation rule fires and the user can't save the form. Okay. It's interesting, like using Google Forms, I'm used to just like select Other, then you put it in and not thinking about what happens on the back end. And essentially what's happening on the back end is we're having a custom value that could accept a string of text, which I did that crazy thing with my eyes because strings of text, they're not strings, but we call them that for some reason, and that drives me crazy all the time. So if you need a validation rule that requires, okay, so basically this is saying that you could use a pick list in a formula. So the formula we're doing here is a validation rule. And yeah, see, that's what I was getting tripped up on. This validation rule formula, right? A validation rule is a type of a formula, and here we are using a pick list in that. So if you select the Other, which is one of the pick list values, then we'll check to see if that's blank, and if that's blank, if that's true, then the validation rule will fire. Okay. God, that took a lot of effort. Common pick list functions and operators. Operator, how may I help you? Okay, just kidding. Other type of operator. 3 functions take Picklist values as arguments in all formula fields. 3 functions take Picklist values as arguments in all formula fields. The word argument here means like what? Like line of reasoning? Investigation? Is pick value, case, and text. Is pick val, so looks for the Picklist field and then a text value, returns true if the value of Picklist field matches text value, and false otherwise. This is a formula that you can use in a Picklist value. It looks at a Picklist field, so you would put in the name of the Picklist field here, and then look for the text value. And if that was entered in, and if that's true, then we'll say, okay, yeah, it's true. Then what will you do with that if it's true? That I don't know yet. And false otherwise. Godspeed, good people. And you can combine isPickVal with priority_val, prior value. You can use this function in assignment rules, validation rules, field updates, and workflow rules to find the previous value of a field. For example, this validation rule prevents a user from changing cases type from a previous selected value back to blank. Not is pick value, prior value, type, and is, okay. This validation rule fires if the prior value of type is not blank and the current value is. Alright, that's hard. I don't really understand that. Case is useful for writing formulas that have different results based on the value of a pick list. This formula with a number return type assigns a case priority based on this type. So somebody fills out a form and says they have a support request. And depending on what they say, we can then assign a value to it. So it gets prioritized according to how the business wants to prioritize it. I was going to say appropriately, but I don't know that, I mean, the customer might not feel that way about it. The formula compares type to each case, assigning a priority when it finds a match. Electrical cases are given a priority of 1, electronic cases 2, and so on. Text converts a pick list value to a text value in the master language of your organization, not the language of the current user. After a pick list value has been converted to a text value, you can use the text function such as begins and contains on it. This formula, for example, displays a case's status as a sentence. Note, you cannot use text on multi-select pick lists. Multi-select pick lists are not recommended in formula fields. Okay, that's good to know. It's like if you select this, then you want to select, the second, just like the parent and the child relationship. Don't do that in a formula. Okay, but I don't really understand how this does what it says it's doing. I don't like this as this cases and text status. I just don't. Use picklist fields and formulas. Create a validation rule based on picklist. Okay, here we go. Get ready for brain damage. A picklist value often determines which other fields on a record are required. IsPickVal and case are useful for creating validation rules that check whether a certain picklist value is selected. For example, say you want users to enter a reason when they change a case's status picklist value to escalated. I'm like looking at the time to see. I have a meeting coming up. For example, say you want users to enter a reason when they change a case's status picklist value to escalated. Okay, so if a user changes the status to escalated, you then want to toss up a validation rule that checks to see if they enter in some sort of extra information as to why they think it's escalated. So that way you can see if is it really escalated based on. Okay. In setup, use the quick find box to find the object manager. Click case, fields and relationships, and new. Okay. Select text area and click next. In the field label, enter reason for escalating. Field name populates automatically. Click next, next again, and save. I was going to enter something sassy in the description just because it's fun, but I'm running a little short on time. Okay, that was easy. I didn't do anything yet. Now use the status picklist field to set up a validation rule on reason for escalating. I like it in caps. If you've ever read Winnie the Pooh, the original, you'll know there's lots of wording. It's in caps. I'm totally procrastinating because I don't want to do this. Click the newly created reason for escalating field. All right, that's the field I just created, right? God, I'm stupid. All right, look at that. Under validation rules, click new. Right there. I think that's showing up. In rule name, enter reason required. Why am I entering in reason required? Because it's me. In error condition formula, enter the following validation rule. Copy. That was nice. Okay, but let me read this. And, so we're looking for both is pick value status escalated and is blank reason for escalating the custom field. So if the pick value is selected to escalate, if the status is escalated and the reason for escalating is blank, then we throw an error message. That actually made sense to me, which is really cool. Then error message, please enter a reason for changing the case status to escalated. That's a very polite way of saying it. You could say like, well, we don't think it's escalated. Prove it to us, buddy. And then click save. There we go. Okay. The validation rule ensures that if the status is set to escalated, reason for escalating is not blank. Test your formula by updating the status of a case to escalated and saving a record without entering a reason for escalating. The form displays your error message under the reason for escalating field. Okay, I actually really want to do that, which is really So let's get over to cases. We're going to find cases in service. Status. Clicking save. Okay. That's not showing up probably on the recording, but here we go. I'll do it this way. Come on. We can do this. Come on. Here we go. There it is. There you go. Reason for escalating. Right there. Okay. Where would you... Oh, then you have to enter it in here. That field. Okay, so we created the field. We added the field to the page. Cool. But you could just enter that in. And that saves. Assign a contact's priority. What if you want to assign a priority to contacts based on their associated account rating? A Picklist field. For this formula, we use cross-object reference for the contact's account rating. I don't know how a person reads that with a straight face. For this formula, we're going to use cross-object reference for the contact's account rating. Cross-object reference. There's just got to be a... Can't we say that in English, please? And the is executive checkbox formula, when we created the using basic logic in checkbox formulas, is executive is checked if a contact's title includes the word executive, president, or chief. Because there are 3 possible account ratings, hot, warm, or cold, and 2 options, is executive, checked or unchecked, there are 6 total cases. We use case to assign each possibility a priority based on the following conditions. Hot is executive, yes. Get warm, hot, non-executive, still in it. So basically, if it's hot, then it's a 1. If it's a warm and an executive, then it's a priority 1. If it's warm and no, then it's a 2. If it's cold and yes, that's a 2. If it's cold and no, that's a 3. Okay. Create a formula field on the contact object with the name, priority, and the type number. Create a formula field on the contact object with a name, priority, and the type number. In setup, use the quick find box to go to the object manager, select click contacts, fields, relationships, new. Contact. Field and relationships, new. Field label, enter priority. The field name populates. Wait, what am I looking for? Select formula. Select number. And decimal places to 0, click next. Enter the following formula. Case, account rating, hot is 1, Warm if is executive is 1 or 2. Oh, okay. So we're going to look at the account rating on the case object. If it's a 1, if it's hot, we're going to assign it a 1. If it's a warm, we're going to assign it based off of this if statement. If is executive is true, then we'll give it a 1. If it's not true, we'll give it a 2. On cold, if it's an executive, we'll give it a 2. But if it's not, then we'll give it a 3. And otherwise, we're just going to give it a 3. That's what that formula says. In this formula, we used if statements inside a larger case statement to more effectively check all 6 cases. Yeah, thanks. I figured that out. Now you're telling me. Okay, so we should now be able, I just did that on the contact. So if I go over to is executive selected. Oh, so this is what I mean by the cross object reference. We're looking at the account. Oh, why does this feel like it? So the rating is hot. Maybe change to cold. Will this like be on an opportunity or something? Create a formula field on the contact object. I don't know. Oh, there's the priority. But if I go back to, let's see, Lauren, what are the details? That's priority 3. So, all right. I mean, I guess I see now where the formula is working. And like if I change United Oil and Gas back to if I change the rating from cold back to hot and click save, and then I go back over to Lauren's details, so this should go from why is it still 3? I don't know. Okay. Picklist examples. This formula returns the number of days since an account was activated based on the custom Picklist field contract status and a custom date field contract activated date. If contract status is not activated, the field is blank. This formula, okay, so if is pick value, contract status, today contract activated stat. Okay, this formula uses the custom date field payment due and the custom Picklist field payment status with the options paid and unpaid on the contract object. If payment status is unpaid and it's past the payment due date, the formula field displays payment overdue, otherwise the field is blank. If and payment due is less than today, and Picklist value is unpaid, then or payment overdue. Okay, I didn't really follow that. This validation rule uses isPick value and priority value to display an error if someone tries to change a lead status from closed to converted or closed not converted to open or not contacted. isPick value status open not contacted, begin text with priority status closed. If user changes the lead status from closed to open, they see an error when they save the record. Okay, I'm just going fast here. The only functions common errors with Picklists, I can't imagine. It's so straightforward. The only functions that can take Picklist fields as parameters in all formula fields are isPick value, case, and text. Okay. Using pick values in any other functions with any other function results in an error. Okay. This checkbox formula field, for example, is meant to display a checkbox that indicates whether the lead source is a partner referral. The equals operator, however, does not support Picklist fields, and this formula causes an error. Okay? Lead source equals partner referral. Instead, use isPickVal to check a Picklist field's value, or use text to convert a Picklist value to text before using the equals operator. isPick value lead source, and then we're going to look for this. And if that's true, then we're good. And then if it's not true, then we have to do something else. Text lead source, so convert that to partner referral. Okay, hands-on challenge. Create a validation rule for escalated cases. Create a validation rule formula that does not allow a user to mark a case as escalated unless the priority is set to high. The case was not closed when created, and the case isn't closed. Create a validation rule formula that does not allow a user to mark a case, so this is going to be the case object, as escalated unless the priority is set to high. The case was not closed when created, and the case isn't closed. This validation rule should be on the case object. Woohoo, I got that right. The validation rule should be named mark as escalated. The validation rule should fire if someone tries to set a case as escalated and it is closed when created, or does not have a priority of high. The validation rule should display the error message. You can only set a case as escalated if it is high priority and not closed. Under the escalated field, when triggered, add the escalated field to the case page layout. Does anybody else's brain space out when they start reading this stuff? The validation rule should be on the case object. Okay, got that. The validation rule should be named mark as escalated. Okay. The validation rule should fire if someone tries to set a case as escalated and it is closed when created, or does not have a high priority of high. Those are Picklist values, apparently. The validation rule should, okay, so that's easy. And then that's easy. Say creative validation rules up here, right? I'm just sensitive because sometimes it's case sensitive. That's a custom field. I don't want a custom field. I want a validation rule. And now the question is how do you write this formula? And here I pause. Okay, so I feel like a big cheater because what I did, I couldn't figure out how to do this, so I just put in a formula and then I got this error that says the validation rule does not appear to be working correctly. Marking is escalated to true and priority to medium. Do not fire the validation rule, which barely sounds like English to me. So then I Googled and I got to this result, and somebody in one of the developer forums, anyhow, I got the right answer. Thanks to this gentleman. He explains that the challenge here is to set is escalated field, which I didn't even know that, to true, and not to set the status to escalated. So you're just using the wrong field in your formula. I've tried this challenge and I was able to 500 points. So, and looking at the is escalated field, or is closed on create, not is pick value priority high. And that would, right, that's what we're looking to do here. This field is escalated, or is closed, but not high. Anyhow, so I just copied and pasted that and put that in, put in the other error message and the rule name correctly, I hope. And now we will check. I mean, I guess Googling to find a code snippet isn't really cheating. Oh well. There we go. Ha, and you thought I was done. One thing I wanted to point out was on this, if you come across this and you want to copy it and paste it, you'll get the 2, 3, 4, 5 as part of the copy paste. But if you click on this little view source icon, you then get that. And then you can copy and paste a lot easier. So that's what that window was. I had that open earlier. So not only am I a cheater, I've also taught you how to cheat or be more efficient or whatever.